Welcome back to Closed Circuit Sports. I'm Drew Goldman, and this is the opening race of the Indy Karting Challenge in the LO206 class. Senior Light. Light was in the morning. I'm hoping to run light and medium all year. We'll see if it works out that way, but they're going to be the most affordable races on the calendar, and I need race laps. I need practice laps too, but I thought I was going to do it this weekend, and then it rained all weekend this weekend, so damn. It's a good thing that we got a practice day going into Route 66 next weekend. It's going to be great. I'm manifesting. It's gonna be great. The biggest development of this event here, for me, learning as a kart racer, was truthfully learning about gear ratios. That came from this event. Because round 10, I thought it was all me. Starting to learn that even though you have a brand new kart, good engine, and it was set up by a team that you trust, that still doesn't mean that it's a winning kart. If you don't have the vocabulary to articulate what's wrong, and if they don't believe what you're telling them, trying to hold my ground there. I end up losing the place anyway, but make them work for it. Pretty cold tires at this point. Even though it was the heat race, it was still the morning. It was a pretty greasy track. No one had put down any rubber yet. These were still stickers, essentially. We had done a warm-up and a qualifying session on them. But that was all. So the laps are going to start coming in, and then times are going to start falling for the rest of the day, is the hope. I didn't trust it over that crest after the warm-up and how wet it had been in the warm-up. But I was trusting that new pavement on the inside of that hairpin there, and nobody else was. Probably should learn how to take the outside line there, rather than what my instinct tells me to do, which is to take the shorter line and run it out wide. If you can bomb down that hill, first of all, this one, I need to commit harder there. Real consequences if you go off at that corner, though. Mechanical issues there for, I think that was Kelly. Pick up a place. It's not as much fun as taking it on track with a position like overtaking. Taking it on true pace, but you gotta take them where you can. And you're just starting out. And although I am not the youngest cat in this game, on the competition side of things in earnest, I have to be honest with myself that I am just starting out. On the competition side, I've been karting since I was a kid, yes. And I've been playing racing games since I was a kid, yes. And I've been driving since I was 15, yes. But my first quote-unquote competition kart race, if I want to be really generous to the K1 Challenge GP, no, it counts. It's a sprint race. It's just an indoor electric arrive and drive sprint race. Anyway, July of 2022. I was putting off K1 for a few years because I didn't want to run K1. I didn't want to run 206. I thought this was small potatoes until I was looking at the price tag and I was like, well, that doesn't match up. Because the jump from K1 to this is drastic. There's real ante-up involved. But that's because you're supposed to be competing with urgency at this level or competing with responsibility. One of the two. Either you're trying to win now and get the hell out of this class, or you're trying to build in this class and kind of make a home here and take care of your machine, tune it to its absolute maximum. The consistency is already there here on lap 5. We started running high 46s. We just set a new fastest lap for our day with a 46.6. That is nowhere near competitive for this field. We'll see the timesheet at the end of the split. But you see how early we stop accelerating. And it's not like this engine doesn't have more pull in it. I just have to give up a little bit of torque and acceleration in exchange for that top speed. That happens one tooth at a time on your front and rear sprocket. Front sprocket is a major adjustment. That's like supposed to be the difference between a wet and a dry setup. Levi said it's approximately six rear sprocket teeth, one front tooth. So if you run 19 teeth in the front, like we were here on this day, and 74 teeth on the rear, like we were in this session, you're going to reach the top of your rev capacity very quickly. You're also going to be able to do so pulling out of corners pretty well. But that was actually, in this case, making me more hesitant on the throttle because it was so touchy. If I were down maybe 4 teeth from here, maybe not a full driver, maybe not a full front sprocket, but like 4 teeth in the rear, from the 72 that we ended up at the end of the day, then I might have been on the pace. But the setup that I had at the beginning of the day was basically a wet setup on dry tires, and just waiting for it to come in over the course of the day. We ended up dropping 1 tooth at a time, 2 teeth over the course of the day. It wasn't enough. It wasn't nearly enough. But we learned, and we learned fast. Because there's only so many mistakes I could fix. And then the rest of it is just trying to carry momentum instead of scrubbing speed. And I remember that from K1. Didn't get a great chance to showcase it until round 2, but we'll get to that. As we come into the way station, we were the last of the finishers, but alright, it was Lynch and Kelly. There we go. 8th in our heat race. About 3 and maybe even a half, maybe 3.5 seconds off the pace there. That's not great. I'll say 3 seconds for my ego. So we're trying to find about a second a lap here to get back to a place where I can feel proud about myself. It's only a 45-second lap. They're not doing 45s, but I am. To be 3 seconds off the pace is disheartening. That makes you feel like you need to turn the difficulty back down. But when I realize, and I process, the fact that these were my first laps in this kart, with this motor, on these tires, in my own kart, I gave myself a little bit of slack. Like, yeah, I'm just trying to finish every race right now. That's all I can expect out of myself today. Not forever, just for now. Let's explore the limit. Let's find the edges. Because in that first event, I've mentioned round 10 of 2024. I had rented Steven's kart from him to kind of get me ready for how Daytona would feel, and to gauge my ability is how I was looking at it. What I didn't understand was how much it changed your mentality to be racing someone else's kart, as opposed to it being a kart that you have no actual financial responsibility for, as it is at K1. If you break the kart at K1, they aren't gonna make you pay to fix it unless you did it on purpose. Then they can try to charge you some damage fee or whatever. I don't know how they would run it. But I know that K1 Circuit in California have an actual damage policy because they have an actual expensive go-kart that can go actually fast. The karts at K1 got worse and worse over the course of the year. The Indy K1, the Fisher's K1. To the point where the same guys were turning pole positions that were slower over the year. The track wasn't getting worse, it was the karts. Here, I just wanted a kart with no excuses. A minimum weight limit that I could make, and a kart that I could count on to be a reliable reflection of my ability. And now I have one. So forgive me for not being just, ready to launch it into the wall on the first day I have it. We finished it the night before. Not by choice, by necessity. I wish that I could have done it by myself, but they were simply not available sooner. It is what it is. I really wish it could have been done, but it got done when the sun was down. So the fact that I was on track at all was a victory. The fact that I was turning all the laps, that I didn't miss the warm-up and miss qualifying and all right, let's get out there for the heat race. No, I was in it from the morning. I saw the layout. I had a kart that would start in the morning. Everything was fine. But I didn't get to practice, not at all. This was the first time I had driven one of these since October. And in October, it was the one that was set up for Steven, who is 5'9". I'll give him 5'9". baby. I'm 6 feet tall, and the cart is configured thus, but I felt like I was dangling out the top of Steven's cart, and there wasn't that much that was different about it. I think it was more me trying to get comfy and not knowing how to tuck in, like to tuck my chin to my chest and to tuck my elbows into my chest and to make sure I'm plugged in as low down into the seat as I could possibly be. I think my seating position changed more than the cart, but I was not comfy. Now in this one, I'm trying to get comfy. I was pretty comfy in the cart in Daytona, in that RY32 that they had set up for a tall guy. No front porch required. No pedal extensions required, as they just set to the furthest pin. I know that seat sliders exist for carts, but you should really only put those in when you're expecting more than one person to drive the cart. If you're setting the cart up for one driver for competition, bolt it where it's supposed to go for them. That's all we did. That's all I was advised to do. But this cart is my dream cart. It's a Burrell RY30 with the cool fairings and the nice red paint job. Magnesium wheels. The Micron tracking all of the data for us. Team-built engine. And a suit with my name and flag on the back. Pretty cool. This series run MG tires. I believe we were running right around 16, or I think it was 16 in the rear, 17 in the front on tire pressure. And as I mentioned earlier, 19 in the front. In terms of the gear ratio, I had the clutch driver was a 19 tooth, and the rear sprocket was a 74 for this race here. That was too short a gear stack. Couldn't accelerate long enough to catch up to anything. They just ran away from me over the course of the race. And no, that is not an excuse that I had in Daytona. Everybody had the same stuff. Theoretically, it's still electric carts. I'm sure some have better torque than others. But I couldn't complain about anything about the power or anything about those carts. The brakes were great, everything. Same situation here. I can't complain about anything besides the gear ratio. I'm really hoping that's where most of it is lying, because if that's a half a second in the front and a half a second on the back, and then I don't know, a few other places where I can't commit quite as hard into corners because it's too touchy a throttle, then yeah, that could add up to 2 seconds a lap. As long as I can fix it once it's ready. Like, once it is in that zone, can I actually capitalize? Doing a pretty good job at the moment of getting everything we can out of it, but Also trying really hard not to push too far. Nobody wants to end up in the wall on day one. Long season. 12 rounds. 2 races per class, 2 classes per round. This kart's gonna get some miles this year if I do every race. If I can run every race, it's gonna get some love. Chipping at 49 is simply unacceptable. Sorry. The rev limiter stopping my acceleration at 49 miles an hour in October in Steven's kart, I was hitting 54. I'm sure that's what everybody else is able to hit right now. They're accelerating all the way to the end of the straight. They chip a little bit at the end. But, man, not like that. The whole way down the front straight, the whole way down the back straight. That can't be right. It covers up mistakes that I make like that, though, when I have such a high gear ratio. Such a short gear stack. When I cross up like that, and I bog it down. More teeth on the rear sprocket gives you more torque to recover from those kinds of mistakes. If you can, once you're smooth, and smooth enough with your corrections that you're not scrubbing off speed and scrubbing off revs. Sure. It's faster. But until then, yeah, we're about to get lapped. We just got a blue flag. I think it's at the end of this straight that it went down. This is a 17 lap race. And it just adds up, so it must be about 3 seconds a lap if they're catching us on lap 15. Man. I'll let those 3. Oh, the 4th guy. It's not like I cut him off, and it's not like I didn't give him space. He just didn't have the line around me, I guess. Or, I don't know, he thought I blocked him, I suppose. But when you watch it back on the webcast, he had space. He just started to slide, had to catch it, and yeah, that was because there was a kart there. Sorry, dude. I gave everybody as much space and as much time as I could without actually, like, I don't know, coming to a full and complete stop. Figure it out. You're a racing driver. Figure it out. Nobody likes to get lapped. Super disheartening. But we're not last. How funny is that? We got lapped by the top 4. Still not last. Final lap of the race. Love that bank corner. I really like this hairpin. It's making me think every time I take it different. For as many laps as I've turned at this track, I still don't have it to a science yet. Once I get some experience with Sierra, I think I'm gonna be much better at reading new tracks. At this point, I'm still very much in the, alright, find the groove and then find the Hamilton line on the groove. It was very nice of Mandy to come out and watch me race. My little sister came out. It was a lovely day. And we'll be back for the afternoon sessions. But yeah, 45-second laps for us, 42.5 for Braden Heber. And Levi Wilbur are our closest teammates, who also happen to be the leaders. We'll see you back for the afternoon sessions with the medium, heat, and final.